Hello everyone and welcome to another track preview. So we haven't done one of these in a bit, but I wanted to do one for the final night of the regular season. Starting off here, we're on Gilgamesh, forged by Roman, and this is the long track in the week. So I wanted to, well, basically since the short track week, been trying to keep up with like more variety in the weeks. So not just getting the short tracks in there to mix things up, because I felt like the short track week was kind of needed because there just wasn't enough of those. But after that, it was like, okay, we got that to fix that a little bit. So now let's mix it up and have like a long track, an intermediate, and then a couple short tracks, or maybe a couple intermediates, or maybe a couple long tracks. But just like try to have some good variety in every week, and that's been the idea since the short track week. And yeah, trying to keep up with that here. So the first track, of course, Gilgamesh, is the long track. The lap time can end up being around like a minute, about a minute 2 seconds to like a minute 6, 8, depending on how fast or slow you are. It depends. There's a good amount of variance there. There's definitely some tech parts of the track, so some areas where you can gain time and make some passes. And it's got the collision zones as well. Got a few of those. So yeah, I actually think from what I've tried so far, and obviously just testing this track by myself, so it's hard to tell how it's going to run exactly. It always is when you're just testing on your own. But from the testing that I've done, I think this should be pretty good. It seems like it should be pretty fun. Definitely got some more cheesy collision zones, like we saw in Roman's last one on H2A, but also got a couple of the straight up ones. So like this, for example, here is one of those more straight up ones where it's like pretty immediate. So this one here is also like not super immediate, but like pretty close. So I like that variety there, that we have those collisions that are a little closer to immediate, because again, I think those usually work better. But there's also some of those like random ones in there too. So yeah, classic Roman style track on that one. That was 2 laps on Gilgamesh. Now we go to Clemenov, and this one is the go-kart track, basically. The go-kart TRS. So this is the shortest track of the night, and again, it's basically the go-kart track. We had a Casbah was also, I would say, a go-kart track as well, pretty much. And I think this one also fits the go-kart mold quite a bit, but in TRS fashion with the collisions and the terrain and stuff like that. This one should be interesting. These collisions are very brutal. I think these are going to be rough with the whole field. And yeah, I'm curious to see how this one plays out. I think there will be some good battles, but at the same time, I could see some pretty big pileups happening in these collision zones. So I feel like this should be a pretty unpredictable race. It should be pretty back and forth, like rubber banding the leader back and forth. But yeah, we'll see. I should have mentioned, so Gilgamesh, we're doing 13 laps on that track. The checkpoints go to 170. That last track, Clemenov, will do 34 laps. And then now we're on Alamak. On this track, we're going to do 21 laps, and the checkpoint will go to 274. So this is the intermediate track. I wanted to do 2 reach tracks, but I went on reach this week, and I just wasn't. I was switching around maps, and I just wasn't feeling the inspiration. The inspiration just wasn't hitting, and I had this idea, and I changed some things a little bit, but I already had an idea for an intermediate track on H2A last week, before I worked on Entropic, so I still kind of had that idea fresh in my mind, so I decided to work on that and make some adjustments to it, and that's what ended up becoming this track. So yeah, we're going to have another week with 2 H2A tracks. Again, wanted to get a 2 reach night, but the inspiration just, I don't know, the inspiration just wasn't there. I was trying to figure something out, and it just wasn't there. But yeah, 3 collision zones on this one, and some pretty tight areas of the track, some pretty wide open areas as well, some technical areas, some long straights. Got a little bit of everything. I think this is a pretty good mix for an intermediate track. And again, 21 laps, 274 checkpoints. Curious to see how this one runs. Should be less cheesy than Entropic, but I still think we could see some good racing action on there too. And then finally, the track that will close out the season, Millport by Roman on Halo Reach. So 31 laps, 211 is the checkpoint that we'll end on this one. And this track's interesting because, again, another short track. The lap time starts to get pretty close to where you could consider it an intermediate, but I'd still put it in the short track category just barely. The chicane, again, we got another track with the chicane, so that's cool. And the collision seems like it could be pretty rough, this collision zone right here. And yeah, pretty tech track. A couple of the sections are pretty technical for the reach tracks, and a few of the reach tracks that we've been doing recently have kind of been like that, like low-key technical, and been pretty fun to run. But yeah, I think Millport should be pretty good, pretty competitive. I'm really looking forward to this being the last track. There was 2 laps on it. Hope you guys enjoyed the track preview. These are all on Roman and I's Fouls if you want to check them out before the race tomorrow. And see you guys there.